Sometimes the biggest mistake you can make isn't believing a lie. It's letting the liar know you caught it. Most people think strength looks like immediate confrontation. They interrupt, point out contradictions, and demand the truth on the spot. It feels satisfying for a few seconds. But in many situations, that reaction hands control to the very person they're trying to expose. The moment someone realizes you've recognized the deception, their brain shifts into survival mode. They stop revealing information and start protecting themselves. Excuses appear instantly. Details change. Blame gets redirected. Before long, the conversation isn't about what actually happened anymore. It's about confusing you enough that certainty disappears. This isn't because they're smarter than you. It's because you accidentally changed the game. Behavioral psychology suggests that deception isn't just about telling false information. It's about controlling another person's perception. A skilled liar constantly watches your face, your posture, even tiny pauses in your speech. Every reaction tells them whether they should continue, retreat, or rewrite the story. That's why emotional reactions become valuable data. The more upset you become, the more information you give away. Ironically, the calmest person in the room often collects the most truth. Imagine someone tells you a story that immediately sounds impossible. Your first instinct is to say, "That doesn't make any sense." Instead, you simply smile, you nod, and you let them continue. To them, it looks like success. To you, it's the beginning of observation. People often underestimate how mentally demanding lying actually is. Honest memories already require effort to recall. Invented memories require something much harder. A person has to create events, remember invented details, keep those details consistent, predict your reactions, and adjust their story in real time. Psychologists sometimes describe this as cognitive load. The heavier that load becomes, the more likely mistakes begin to appear. Here's the interesting part. Most liars manage that load well only while they're being cautious. Once they believe you've accepted the story, the pressure fades. Confidence replaces caution. And confidence often creates carelessness. Suddenly they volunteer extra information nobody asked for. They explain things that didn't need explaining. They add names, times, conversations, locations, and tiny details designed to sound convincing. But every unnecessary detail creates another opportunity for inconsistency later. This is why patience is so powerful. You're not staying quiet because you're weak. You're staying quiet because information is still arriving. Think of it like watching someone build a bridge across a river. If you interrupt halfway, they'll stop building. If you patiently watch until they're finished, every structural weakness becomes visible. Many people lose this advantage because they crave immediate justice. They want the emotional satisfaction of saying, "I knew it." The problem is that emotional satisfaction often comes at the cost of strategic advantage. Real influence usually belongs to the person who can delay emotional gratification. That takes discipline, and discipline is surprisingly rare. So what should you actually do? The first step is deceptively simple. Encourage them to keep talking. Not aggressively, not sarcastically, genuinely. Ask open-ended questions that invite expansion instead of defense. What happened after that? How did everyone react? What did you do next? These questions feel harmless, but they quietly increase cognitive load. Each answer must remain consistent with everything said before. Each new detail becomes another thread woven into the same story. If the story is true, consistency happens naturally. If it's fabricated, maintaining consistency becomes increasingly difficult. The second step is even more important. Repeat their story back to them. Not to challenge it, to confirm it. You might calmly say, "So just to make sure I understand, you left work around 8, your phone died, and then you met your friend before heading home?" Notice what happened. You're not accusing anyone, you're organizing information. Most people instinctively agree. They confirm the summary because it appears harmless. Without realizing it, they've committed themselves to a specific version of events. This matters because memory is surprisingly flexible. When people feel cornered, they often claim they were misunderstood. "I never said that." "That's not what I meant." "You remembered it wrong." A calm summary dramatically reduces that escape route. Now both of you share the same reference point. Nothing dramatic happened, no argument, just clarification. The final step requires the most patience. Don't expose the contradiction immediately. Wait. Let reality do the work. Hours later, days later, sometimes weeks later, objective evidence often appears naturally. A message, a timestamp, a receipt, a witness, a calendar entry. Something simple. When it does, resist the temptation to celebrate. Don't deliver a dramatic speech. Don't announce victory. Just introduce the fact naturally, almost casually. I saw the schedule from yesterday. Oh, I happened to notice the meeting ended much earlier. I found the email while organizing everything. Then continue the conversation as if nothing extraordinary happened. This creates an uncomfortable psychological experience. The liar suddenly realizes two things at once. First, their story no longer fits reality. Second, you've remained emotionally unaffected. That second realization is often more powerful than the first. Manipulative people frequently rely on emotional reactions. Anger, frustration, defensiveness. Those reactions give them something to work with. Calmness gives them very little. Without emotional chaos, many manipulation strategies simply lose effectiveness. This doesn't mean every lie deserves investigation. Not every dishonest comment requires a psychological strategy. Some lies are harmless. Some relationships aren't worth preserving. Sometimes the healthiest response is simply distance. Wisdom includes knowing which battles deserve your energy. But when trust truly matters, when the truth affects your future, when someone repeatedly manipulates reality for personal gain, emotional discipline becomes one of the strongest tools you possess. People often confuse silence with surrender. They're completely different. Surrender gives away power. Strategic silence protects it. One is passive, the other is intentional. The goal isn't humiliating another person, it's protecting your own clarity. Because once emotion takes control, perception becomes blurry. When calmness remains, patterns become visible. And patterns reveal character far more accurately than isolated events ever could. Over time, you'll begin noticing something fascinating. Honest people usually appreciate opportunities to clarify themselves. Deceptive people often become increasingly uncomfortable the longer they have to maintain a false narrative. You don't need to force that difference. Time naturally exposes it. Perhaps that's the greatest lesson of all. Truth usually doesn't need loud defenders. It simply needs enough time to breathe. So the next time someone looks you in the eyes and tells a story that doesn't quite fit, resist the urge to win the moment. Observe, listen, ask. Remember, let reality catch up, because the strongest person isn't always the one who speaks first. Often it's the one who understands that patience can reveal what confrontation never could. If you want to better understand human behavior, strengthen your emotional intelligence, and learn the hidden psychology behind everyday interactions, stay with this journey. There are many more patterns hiding in plain sight, and once you learn to recognize them, you'll start seeing people and yourself with entirely new eyes.